What is required then if we understand that we're slaves to our fear of death or slaves to sin, as the Bible says? What's necessary then to free us? Is it that we're under a legal penalty? There's a death penalty, as the paragraph said. There's a death penalty, and we are on death row, and we're waiting for the divine judge to inflict the penalty. And so we're kind of imprisoned in a legal construct, a legal prison, waiting death sentence to be carried out. Is that it?
No, you have to remove the sin. You have to remove the thing that's infecting you. You have to heal.
Yes, that's exactly right. Does the passage in Hebrews actually say there's a death penalty? The Bible teaches the wages of sin is death. Sin, when full grown, brings forth death. Those who sow to the carnal nature, from that nature reap destruction. So you can, if you understand it correctly, you can say there is a penalty from jumping off the Empire State Building. That's true. There is. There's a penalty for doing that. And it is meted out when they hit the bottom. What's that old joke?
The jump doesn't hurt.
The jump doesn't hurt, it's that sudden stop. Yeah, right. The jump doesn't hurt, the sudden stop does. That's right. And so there is a penalty. But God doesn't send angels to break legs of people when they hit the bottom. It's not inflicted. It's the result. Okay? So where did this idea come from that sin requires the infliction of punishment? Well, you know this quote, Desire of Ages 761. In the opening of the great controversy, where did the great controversy open? Heaven or earth? In heaven. In the opening of the great controversy, Satan had declared, what is a declaration? Is that evidence? Is that fact? A declaration is fact? It's evidence? It's a statement. It's a polemic. It is words. Satan is the father of? Yes. In the opening of the great controversy, Satan had declared that the law of God could not be obeyed, that justice was inconsistent with mercy, and that should the law be broken, it would be impossible for the sinner to be pardoned. Every sin must meet its punishment, urged Satan. And if God should remit the punishment of sin, he would not be a God of truth and justice. This is Satan's position from the beginning. The idea sin must be punished. He's the originator of this entire penal, substitutionary, inflicted, justice requires inflicted punishment construct. Somebody say something? Yeah? No? If Satan were correct about God's law, then he would be correct about the assertion. If God's law were like human law, then it would require punishment. But God's law is not like human law. 4 paragraphs later, the same author, book Desire of Ages, now page 762, tells you what God's law requires. Satan says God's law requires punishment. That's what you get from an imposed law. But if you understand design law, you've already said it in here several times, design law requires healing, right? Yeah. The removal of the problem, fixing the brokenness. Notice what this author says, and this is one of my favorite paragraphs. The law requires righteousness, a righteous life, a perfect character. And again, why does the law require that? For the same reason the law of respiration requires you breathe. It's the basis on how life is built. Without this, you're out of harmony with life. You will die. This is why it's no arbitrary thing. It's life. It's how it works. The law requires righteousness, a righteous life, a perfect character. And this man has not to give. He cannot meet the claims of God's holy law. But Christ, coming to earth as a man, lived a holy life and developed a perfect character. These he offers as a free gift to all who receive them. His life stands for the life of men. Yes, he is the new head of humanity. He stands in the place of our species that Adam was created to stand in. He is the second Adam. Thus, they have remission of sins that are past through, this is quite profound, through a penalty being paid to the law or to the legal authorities of heaven. No.
Through the forbearance of God.
Through the forbearance of God. That's exactly right. More than this, Christ imbues men with the attributes of God. Imbues men with the attributes of God. What does that sound like is happening? Heart transformation, writing the law in the heart and mind, partaking of the divine nature. No longer I that live, but Christ lives in me. Recreation, rebuilding up the human character for the similitude of the divine. So what it goes on to say, he builds up the human character after the similitude of the divine character, a goodly fabric of spiritual strength and beauty. Thus the very righteousness of the law is fulfilled in the believer. God can be just, there it is, doing the right thing, providing the remedy, the justifier, fixing them, making them right again, of him who believes in Jesus. It is absolutely right for the person that loves to take the action to save somebody who's dying, the just thing. It's also absolutely right to take the one who's dying and restore them to health and wellness, justifying or putting them right again. He is just for doing it, and he is the justifier or healer, restorer of those who are sick in sin. That's what it's saying. It's beautiful. There's nothing penal legal going on at all. All the penal legal stuff, I'm telling you, the entire penal substitutionary theology is predicated on believing Satan's lie about God's law. So God does not have to inflict a death or legal payment or punishment upon anyone. That's Satan's language of things. It is true that the wages of sin is death, but death doesn't come out from God. It comes out from being out of harmony with the very protocols of life or the channels of blessings that come from God.